to this special edition of Turning Point. I'm your host, Rika Roy. Today marks a generational shift in BCCI as former Indian captain Sourav Ganguly takes over as the captain of BCCI. To talk about the drama that unfolded overnight and how the Dada of Indian cricket became the captain of BCCI and what it means to the board, we have senior journalists Kishore Bhimani and G. Rajaraman on the show. We also have the man who launched Sourav Ganguly as the brand with a soft drink giant shortly after he became the Indian captain and a close friend, Lloyd Matthias. But before we dive into the show, let's listen into what Sourav Ganguly had to say to my colleague Saurabh Gupta shortly after Rajiv Shukla announced the panel.
Whole of Calcutta is celebrating today, whole of Bengal is celebrating today. They're saying the Bengal Prince is back to rule Indian cricket. How would you react to that? Very quickly.
Well, I don't think it that way. You know, I was captain for a long period of time, played for a long period of time, and now this is a different responsibility. So we'll try and do my best.
And you've learned the ropes of cricket from Jagmohan Dalmia, a very able administrator of Indian cricket. How much of his influence are you going to have?
You know, when he ran cricket, I was a player, so I haven't seen him very closely how he ran the board and the Cricket Association of Bengal. But he was very dear to me. He still is and will always be. And if I achieve what he's achieved, 50% in terms of administration, I think I'll do a great job.
And the rapport with Jay Shah, have you had any interactions with him as well?
Yeah, had with him. I've known him for a long period of time. He's 14 years younger than me. So it's great to have him. He's been around for a while, and hopefully all of us, all 8 of us, can take this organization forward.
Have you spoken to Dona ma'am about this? Any reactions from her?
No, not yet. We were busy sorting out the nominations and everything. Hopefully tomorrow.
All right. Thank you so much. So that's Sourav Ganguly. Says he hasn't spoken to his wife yet because he was busy sorting out the nominations. Clearly a dramatic night where he's emerged as the captain of Indian cricket at large from being the captain of the Indian cricket team, so to speak. But Sourav Ganguly takes charge of the BCCI.
Well, that was a very sweet interview. He didn't have the time to talk to his wife, but I'm sure Sourav Ganguly has all the time for Indian cricket now. Let me dive straight into the discussion. Mr. Kishore Bhimani and G. Rajaraman are there with me. We'll shortly get you Lloyd Matthias. Mr. Bhimani, you hail from the city of joy, from the city that Sourav Ganguly also hails. What does this really mean to the Indian cricket? A cricketer of his stature becoming the president of BCCI?
See, Rika, over all these years, these decades, we have cried ourselves hoarse why a cricketer does not head up an organization, why a cricketer does not run cricket. Well, at last we've got it. The point today is that the cricketers in the past have got very close to it. The top-class cricketers have got close to the top position, but not really held it. People like Srinivasan, people like Jagmohan Dalmia, all these people, even Raj Singh Dungarpur, who played some kind of cricket, but never top cricketers. We haven't had it for the 50 years that I've been following the game.
We have had Shivlal Yadav briefly.
And now at least, well, I would not like to talk about him. He was a spin bowler of some. If you do excuse me, Rika, I'd prefer not to talk about him.
Right.
Yeah, but this in one sentence, it's a great deal for Indian cricket.
Right. Mr. Rajaraman, while he has said, Sourav Ganguly in that interview said that if he does 50% of what Jagmohan Dalmia did, he would think that he's achieved a lot. He has only 10 months' time. Do you think he will be able to achieve 50%, close to that, or more than that?
I think, Rika, you just answered it. He's got just 10 months. And 10 months is too short a time. By the time he understands the ropes of how BCCI functions, especially the new BCCI, it's going to take him time. And then he's going to be out of BCCI in 10 months. I think that's one of the most disappointing aspects of this election, that BCCI knew fully well that Ganguly was available only for 10 months, and to have him installed as president, I think it tells you how eager they were to get rid of the COA, how eager they were to get back in control.
Right.
Didn't matter to them whether it was Sourav Ganguly just for 10 months. I wish him well. He's been a fabulous cricketer for India, a fantastic captain, but I think 10 months is too less, and I think Ganguly has probably made the mistake of playing into the hands of a few people who want to run the board.
Right. I'll have to tell my viewers at this point, the pictures on the right of your screen, now left of your screen, were taken when Sourav Ganguly walked into BCCI this morning. I will go over to Mr. Lloyd Matthias, but before that, I would ask my director to play you a soundbite of Sourav Ganguly where he talks about bringing normalcy back to Indian cricket.
Happy, happy, I would say, because it's a very important time in Indian cricket administration because of all what's happened in the last 3 years. To be in a position where I can make a difference along with the team would be extremely satisfying. So hopefully in the next few months we can put everything in place and bring back normalcy in Indian cricket.
Well, Mr. Matthias, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on the show. Please tell us what kind of difference can Sourav Ganguly, the brand you launched perhaps in the year 2000, correct me if I'm wrong, can make a difference to the brand BCCI?
Back at Pepsi then, Sourav was a brand ambassador. But I think the important part is two. I think one is that he's a decisive person who knows his mind. So he's not going to be a pushover for any of the politicians who've kind of had control over BCCI for the last few years. I think secondly, as someone who represents an active cricketer who's played cricket very recently, I think he can empathize and understand the issues that cricketers per se face. And therefore, in that sense, I think it's a very positive development for cricket, having a recently played cricketer as head of the board of cricket BCCI. And secondly, also someone who can rein in, kind of rampant, political interference.
Right, but there hasn't been a complete departure from politics. Mr. Bhimani, even now the board is backed by powerful politicians and their family members. So would you say that despite Sourav Ganguly becoming the president, it is a tad bit disappointing that powerful members of ruling party still continue to be a part of the cricket system?
Well, I'm afraid, Rika, not only the ruling party. We have had, we still have the shadow of Sharad Pawar in the background. We have people like, there has not been a complete removal of people like Rajiv Shukla, who's from the Congress.
But how do you say shadow of Sharad Pawar?
Amit Shah, sorry?
How do you say shadow of Sharad Pawar? What kind of shadow?
One thing. No, shadow means, remember, there are wheels within wheels. Having seen cricket from the late 60s and early 70s onwards, don't ever believe. Who had believed that Srinivasan would come back to make a difference in this mix? Srinivasan was out forever. He comprehensively, all this that has happened, the COA and all the differences, all the Supreme Court judgments are there because of Narayan Swami Srinivasan.
Right.
And he is back in the mix. So don't ever think that they are moving out. They are biding their time and they are going to come and take it over. The great thing about Sourav, of course, is that he is tough enough to keep his head above water with a smiling face. He is going to do what he has to do. And I have full faith that as a fair person and as a cricketer, he's going to make a difference.
Right. At this point, I want to tell our viewers to look at those graphics on the left of your screen as to how this entire drama unfolded last night. And basically, it all happened between 9:30 and 10:30. Sourav Ganguly himself said at the press conference today that he didn't have an idea till about 10:30 last night that he was becoming the BCCI president. But then there were decisions taken. Have a look on the left of your screen and let me play out this sound bite of Sourav Ganguly where he says that he has not been backed by a politician.
Was any politician in touch with you?
No,
a senior BJP politician?
No politician was in touch with me. And that's what it is. And the members decide who will be a part of this esteemed institution, and that's what it is. And in terms of Mamta Didi, I thank her. She is Mamta Didi, and I'm very happy to get her congratulatory message.
Well, Mamta Banerjee, who backed Sourav Ganguly in 2015 when he became the president of Cricket Association of Bengal, sent out this tweet saying her earliest congratulations to Sourav for being unanimously elected the president. Wish you all the best for your team. You have made India and Bangla proud. We are proud of your tenure as CAB president. Looking forward to a great new innings. In fact, this was all initiated by Anurag Thakur when he said that they should, the BCCI should move out from Mr. N. Srinivasan and his group and make Sourav Ganguly the president of the board. Mr. Rajaraman, let me come back to you. Now, Ganguly said that his first interest would be to look at domestic cricket. However, do you think that should be the primary focus, given that BCCI already has a robust structure and Sourav has about 10 months at hand?
No, I think first-class cricket, it's nice to speak about first-class cricket and want to do something good.
It sounds nice, but is that what the focus should be?
But here is a man who has already told us, Rika, that no politician was involved. We saw Rajiv Shukla go alongside him when he was filing nominations. And for us to be told that there was no politician involved in the decision-making process, I think Sourav is already being a master politician here. he knows which side of the bread is buttered. And that's good for him because he's going to last some time and he's going to make some difference to Indian cricket, hopefully. But that is Sourav.
Right.
He can walk the tightrope really well, keep everybody happy. He can keep Mamata Banerjee happy. He can keep the Congress people happy, and he will keep the BJP happy as well. Good for Indian cricket that Sourav Ganguly will be in for 10 months, but I think it's too short a time. Hopefully, he can make a difference to how Indian cricket walks forward from the crisis it has found itself in over the last 4 or 5.
Mr. Matthias, would you like to pick up from there? Sourav Ganguly, a master politician himself?
Well, interesting point. What I would say was that, besides being a great cricketer, I think he's proved himself off the cricketing field as well. For the last 3 years, he's run one of the largest associations, the Cricket Association of Bengal, run pretty well. And as a person, he's intelligent, he's bright, he's sharp, he's aggressive, and not afraid to speak his mind. So I think in a situation of flux and, all the issues with the committee of administrators and the various changes BCCI has seen over the last 4 or 5 years, I think having someone like Sourav with a lot of credibility from the cricketing establishment as a former player, someone who can, work his way around a lot of the political quagmire that BCCI is, I think is a positive development. And most important for all, like I said, he's fearless. He's someone who can take bold calls, who can stand by decisions, stand by players, look at revamping things like, player pensions and, making sure the first-class cricket is raised. So I think on the whole, it's a positive development. He has a, bright, young, decisive cricketer taking charge of the board, which can only be a very, very positive move.
Like, what really stood out for me in the press conference that he did was Sourav Ganguly saying that a lot more players who finish playing the game should come back to run the cricketing establishment, and he will sort out the conflict of interest issue. Let's listen into what he had to say.
There are cricketers in the Apex Council. There will be cricketers in the subcommittee. Conflict is an issue. Conflict is an issue whether you will actually get the best cricketers in the system. I'm not too sure because they'll have other options to do and because if they come into this system and not get to do other things which their livelihood, it is very difficult for them to be a part of the system and make a difference. So that's another issue, conflict, which I feel really needs to be looked at. Look at all the appointments which have happened in various forms, in whether it's the NCA, whether it's the Cricket Advisory Committee, whether it's the appointment of batting coaches, fielding coaches. There has been an issue with everything. So I think commentators, IPL. So that issue needs to be sorted. And
Sourav Ganguly really has to have a lot of time for BCCI now to sort all of those conflict of interest issues, and one of his mates, in fact, is involved in that. Mr. Bhimani, if I can go back to you, we have heard names of Rahul Dravid, Kapil Dev, and so many of them right now involved in the conflict of interest issue. Would you say that, it's an interesting thing that Sourav Ganguly has addressed it in the first press conference that he did?
Well, don't you see that this is an issue that is current, this minute, this hour? This is an issue where he himself has become involved, and he wants to set it right. And he wants to not only do the right thing, he wants to be seen to do the right thing. So conflict of interest, to my mind, is the #1 issue that a new body will have to tackle.
And Mr. Rajaraman, how difficult do you think it will be for Ganguly to sort out all these conflict of interest issues, considering that there are wheels within wheels?
No, I think if anybody can sort anything out, it is the Supreme Court. I think Ganguly will have to become friends with the amicus curiae and then ensure that the board does all the right things and to be seen doing the right things, as Mr. Bhiwani just pointed out. I think it's very important for him to win the confidence of the Supreme Court, because any changes that he brings into the constitution of BCCI along with his friends in BCCI will have to be ratified by the Supreme Court at this point of time. I'm sure there will be a time in the future when BCCI breaks free of the shackles that it finds itself in. But at this point of time, he will have to win the confidence of the Supreme Court. And to my mind, that will be the first thing that that will be the first big challenge that Sourav Ganguly will face.
Mr. Rajaraman, there's another question that I have to ask you before I ask one last question to Mr. Matthias, which is about Jai Shah. I understand that he was not even an office member of the Gujarat Cricket Association. How then was he nominated for this post by the GCA? Give us the technicalities, please.
I think we've got to accept the fact that anybody could become president or secretary of the board. There was a time when Mr. Sunil Gavaskar, one of India's greatest cricketers ever, was named as president of the board by the Supreme Court. He was not a member even of the Mumbai Cricket Association. So I guess it is okay. I think we'll have to wait and watch how Jai Shah performs as secretary. If he does a good job, then it's a great decision. If it doesn't do a good job, then it's probably one of the poorer decisions that BCCI officials have made over a period of time.
Right. Mr. Matthias, before I close out the discussion, I have to ask you, in 2000, when Sourav Ganguly took over the reins of Indian cricket was in a mess. Similar situation in BCCI now. Which of the two is a tougher job?
Oh, I think clearly the current situation. I think, while Indian cricket on the field is doing fantastic, I think what's happening off the field is really a concern. And I think one hope that I hold out and I see in this whole change is that this is also pretty much the youngest cricketing administration that the BCCI has ever seen. Typically it's been run by, kind of dyed-in-the-wool politicians in their 70s and a very geriatric nature. I think if you look at the core members, the president, the vice president, secretary, they're all in their 40s and 30s.
Right.
I think that's a positive vote. And I think that really bodes well for cricket in general.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us.